Let's pop you over to News on the Go. The Basic Education Minister is giving a media briefing on the back of reports that some of the matric results have been released. Siviwe Gwarube is speaking. Let's listen in.
Sole attention to our top achievers this evening, and obviously the matric results this evening. So if I can have your agreement on that, so that we don't eclipse their day. And remember when you were 18, and think about how big this moment is for them. So I would really not like to eclipse their moment. However, colleagues, as I said, there are some questions that have been asked, and we have been limited in terms of what we can say and not say publicly because of the nature of the investigation. It became clear to us about 48 hours ago that there is a potential breach in our information. And what that means is, and I need to clarify, that there are multiple steps in the putting and compiling together of the matric results. The breach seems to have happened only at the tail end that pertains to the verified results that have already been finalized. The reason why I make that distinction clear is so that it can be clear to everybody that we are talking about the results themselves that very well may have been leaked. And I'm not able to say definitively if in fact these results have been leaked, because we have enlisted the services of the Hawks and State Security, which they have, and we are grateful to them for being able to step in as quickly as possible to try and assist us in terms of a speedy investigation. Now, colleagues, this is extremely serious because, of course, if there has been a breach in our system, there are two processes that we need to follow. Number one, we need to determine as the DBE, are our systems secure and airtight enough? You will recall that once we've compiled the results, we have to share our results with certain stakeholders so that they can start getting ready with their processes. So there's a very real possibility that there may have been a breach in that process. And we are going to be, under the leadership of the DG, launching an investigation, because it's absolutely critical that this process be airtight as possible. And so if the breach has come from the DBE side, we will be investigating and consequence management will follow. However, if this is, as we may suspect, the result of a cyber crime, then this is why State Security and the Hawks have become involved. The reason why we have not been able to speak about the matter for the last 48 hours is because the Hawks have indicated that their investigation is at an advanced stage, and therefore it became too sensitive for us to be able to divulge. However, I am aware that we do owe you an explanation, in the sense that there has been a platform that has been selling what they call is authentic matric results to learners. They have been preying on innocent learners and siphoning them of money. And so we take this very seriously, and this is why the cyber crimes unit of the Hawks has been enlisted and is all over the matter. And so this is the update that I wanted to give you. Two things. The one is we are investigating at DBE whether or not our processes have been subject to a breach. And if so, if the process comes from our side, then we will deal with it. And if it's any of our people, we will deal with it. If the breach has come from the act of sharing the results with certain stakeholders, which we need to do for seamless distribution of the results, then we will deal with that, because then it means we've got to tighten our processes there. If we have been victim of a cyber crime, then we are dealing with it through State Security and the Hawks. And I want to assure the people of South Africa that the results have been absolutely insulated from any manipulation. Whatever breach may have been, it would have been at the tail end of the verified results. And that becomes extremely important when we are dealing with this. but we're taking it seriously, and I can assure you that as we go through the next couple of days, we will make sure that something like this is dealt with. We are wanting an arrest to be made, and we are confident that the law enforcement agencies are moving at pace to make sure that an arrest is made. Because it's also important, colleagues, that we set an example. We set an example to people who are constantly looking to prey upon innocent people, making them pay, using cyber crimes to essentially sell bogus information on the internet. And so as a government, we ourselves need to make sure that we act harshly, we act quickly, and we make sure that people are arrested. We've got the law on our side, but at the same time, we also need to look at our systems to make sure what has happened, to what extent it has happened, and how do we prevent it from the future. I'm happy to take about 3 questions. I really don't want us to make our learners wait, and I'm happy to take some questions, and then we can proceed and go and celebrate our bright stars. Is there anything you would like to add?
Right, thank you, Minister. We'll take 3 questions, as the Minister has indicated. Can I get those raised hands for a round of questions? None. Minister, 1, 2. All right, we've got 2. Thank you, Minister. Over to you, first one.
Good morning, Minister. Brighton here from Netwerk Feeding to Winter. Will this breach at all affect the integrity of the results?
It's a very excellent question, because a lot of people may be concerned about that. No. The short answer is no. It will not affect the integrity of the results. And here's the reason why. We know that should there have been a breach, it is at the tail end of sharing the final results. So this has nothing to do with the back-end capturing of the results. The back-end capturing and calculating of the results is done in a very separate process that very few and limited people have access to. But of course, as I said, because we want seamless processes in terms of sharing the data, at some point, once the data has been finalized, we then have to share it, for instance, with institutions of higher learning, for instance, with other stakeholders. Including some media houses. And so the point I'm making is that we now need to figure out whether or not the breach happened there, or whether the breach happened on our side as DBE, and if it has, harsh consequences will happen. Because of course, if it happened on our side, then it means that somebody maliciously and intended to sell information to a bogus company, or if we've been the victim of a cybercrime. And so I can assure South Africans that it will not affect the integrity at all. This is literally the finalized results that we are talking about. The signed off, verified, Umalusi certified results that may have been the subject of the brief. And the reason why, again, I repeat and say may, is because we still, with the help of the Hawks and state security, need to ascertain whether or not a breach has happened, what access was gained, and to what extent. And once the Hawks can be able to point us there, we will very easily be able to find out where the breach may have happened. So the integrity is absolutely airtight.
Thank you, Minister. Fulis has indicated that you've clarified his prospective question as well.
Okay.
And that brings us to the end of this media scrum. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you very much, colleagues. And once again, as I said, today, the whole day is about our learners and how proud we are of them. But of course, we owe you all an explanation. This is about reporting to the nation. And the reason why we have not been able to communicate before is because we needed to respect the processes of the Hawks and state security. But we wanted to clarify that all systems go, and today is going to be a good day for the learners and the teachers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so there you have it, that update coming from the Basic Education Department. Siviwe Gwarube, of course, is the minister. She was flanked there by the DG in Matanzi Mamweli and her deputy in Dr. Regina Maule. And they were giving an update essentially on those reports you might have seen from the weekend around some kind of breach on the Basic Education Department systems where people were able to access their results ahead of the official announcement at a cost of apparently about 100 Rand. The minister saying that they cannot definitively say whether there's been a breach to their systems. In other words, they can't even verify whether the results that have been shared to people who are able to pay this 100 Rand are correct. However, they're investigating, and as part of their investigations, they're looking at two things in the main: whether or not the breach happened as they were sharing their results with different stakeholders, including the schools, or if the breach is internal, in other words, inside the education department's own systems. But what you're seeing now are visuals of a different venue also in Fairlands, where the top achievers are said to be honored in a special breakfast. And in fact, this happens traditionally now every year, where some of those high flyers from different parts of the country are gathered together ahead of the official announcement, just to give them their flowers, as we say colloquially speaking, given the hard work that they've been able to put in and the excellent results that has emerged thereafter. Still no clear sign of, I suppose, which province dominates those who are present there, but you can see some of the pupils clad in their uniforms, presumably for the last time, by the way, because of course their life really begins after this. And we'll get you a sense of to what extent, in fact, they were able to fly the flag high for their respective schools, and of course, in what area of study. All of this, of course, in the lead up to the official announcement expected tonight. The time is usually about 6 o'clock. That's when we'll get the broad strokes of how each province did and get a sense, of course, of how the matric class of 2024 generally did at a national level. Tomorrow then, of course, is the time where we see those images where matriculants are able to gather once again at their respective schools and get those certificates, hopefully showing that they did better than they'd even anticipated. So look out for all of that reporting for you as we continue watching this important moment, as the minister said, in the lives of those who sat for their exams last year.